In the Machine, we learn of people who are trapped within the Dark Aether. Not only humans, but they are there with apothecans and the undead. There are audio logs that we can find which is to do with the Dark Aether intel, where we learn their journeys whilst being in prison there, the things they have had to do, and also them beginning to change. We know whatever is trapped inside of the Dark Aether, for example, the Keepers, over time, anything in there, as it becomes more infected, begins to contort and change. Humans, if they are there long enough, over time, will look nothing like they used to. So in this video, we're going to learn of these survivors trapped in the Dark Aether through these audio logs. I'm going to play them for you guys, and then after each and every one, I'm going to come back and explain exactly what they mean. Here we go.
Is anyone out there? Can anyone hear me? I do not know how long I have been here. There are no days to count. Only an endless twilight. Like a dream that keeps shifting whenever I try to focus on it. There are some strangely beautiful sights here. Great glowing gems, luminous creatures that float on the mist. But beauty means little when you are always being hunted. I should never have gone near that shimmering light. I should never have touched it. I thought it was a sign from God, but there is no God here. There is no God.
So in this first radio, which is from Johannes, he describes being trapped in the Dark Aether. We now know exactly what the Dark Aether looks like. We are able to go there for ourselves. Okay, whilst the characters we play as can only travel there for a few seconds, these people are trapped there indefinitely. We still get a glimpse of what they're seeing day in, day out. It is dark, there is no sunlight, it's difficult to count the days. He does say because of this there are some strangely beautiful sights, such as the great glowing purple gems which we know are the Dark Aether crystals. He's also seen luminous creatures that float on the mist. Could he be describing these jellyfish-like things we see in the sky? Or maybe he's describing the Keepers. But then he says, beauty means little when you're always being hunted. You can imagine the things hunting him down will be the apothecans, the zombies, other survivors maybe. And then, as for how he became trapped here in the first place, he said, I should never have touched it. I thought it was a sign from God, but there is no God here. So Johannes touched the light and was dragged into the Dark Aether. That's one experience of one of the people here, but taking a look at the next one, this is from Mariska.
In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, it is me, Mariska. I do not know if my words reach you anymore. I do not know if you care at all about the damned, for that is surely what I am. Damned. And I just want to know, why, Lord? What did I do to end up here? It is not the hell I expected, no lake of fire, only a cold, perpetual half-light that somehow seems even worse. Dead men wander this land, feasting on the living, if you can call it living. And I fear they may be. Lord, they are coming. I beg you, protect me. Deliver me from this place. I should not be here. I should not.
Mariska says, in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, Lord, it is me. I do not know if my words reach you anymore. I do not know if you care at all about the damned. For that is surely what I am, damned. And I just want to know, why, Lord? What did I do to end up here? It is not the hell I expected. No lake of fire, only a cold perpetual half-light that somehow seems even worse. From what we've heard so far from Mariska and Johannes and also the next person, they all believe, initially at least, this place they are in is hell. They touched the light and were sent here. But it's not the hell they expected. Of course, we know it's the Dark Aether. It's not hell, it's the place beneath creation. It is a fractured land, but they expected it to be totally different compared to what it is. They expected hell and fire, whereas what they actually got was an endless twilight. She then continues on by saying, dead man wander this land, feasting on the living. That's what I said earlier, there are zombies here, attacking survivors. And then she finishes by saying, Lord, they are coming. I beg you protect me, deliver me from this place. I should not be here. I should not. Whether or not the zombies ended up killing her, we don't know. By the way she was cut off, we don't hear from her again, so I can only assume she was eaten by the undead. The next survivor we hear from who was trapped in the dark ether is called David.
Okay. Think it through. Reason it out. I've met quite a few others who got trapped here like me. And every single time, the question comes up. Are we in hell or not? I mean, sure, this has to be hell, right? There's dead people, demons. Feels as far from God as you can get. I even thought I saw ghosts here. But now I'm thinking maybe they're just folks back home, and somehow I'm seeing them through the veil that separates our worlds. Which brings me to the thought I just can't get out of my mind. What if there is no hell? What if this place is just a place? What if people came here before and got out? And that's how we got the whole idea of hell in the first place.
Now this one's interesting because this survivor David, compared to the other two, is questioning whether or not this place is hell, whereas the others said, yes, this has to be. Okay, it's not what I expected, but there are dead people here, demons, ghosts, surely this has to be hell. Whereas David is questioning that. He says, well, what if this isn't hell and it's actually just another place we are trapped? He says, I even thought I saw ghosts here, but now I'm thinking maybe they're just folks from back home, and somehow I'm seeing them through the veil that separates our worlds. Which brings me to the thought I just can't get out of my mind. What if there is no hell, and what if this is just a place? I mean, that should give me some hope, right? It means you can escape. Then again, maybe hope is a part of the punishment. Maybe hope is the ultimate cruelty. So David is kind of beginning to latch onto the situation. By the way, he says, what if people came here before and got out? And that's how we got the whole idea of hell in the first place. Well, things have been trapped here before, such as the apothecans at the beginning of time, and then they were trapped here again back in the 1300s. The apothecans have managed to escape the dark ether. It is possible, so if they could do it, why can't he and the other people here? The whole idea of hell came from people that were trapped in the dark ether before. They escaped, travelled back to the real world, and told people of these stories of where they were, described what it was like, this place they were trapped in, with dead people and demons and ghosts. Over time, those stories they told began to evolve. People began to add in the idea of there being fire and these lakes of lava, but the whole idea of hell originally came from people who were trapped in the dark ether and escaped. And the people who are here now are realising that, well, this place isn't actually hell, and it's not how it was told. There's also this bit of intel which says approach. It is an audio log, but when you go to listen to it, nothing plays. The description is, it is coming, but there's no sound. What's coming? What are they talking about? That one's definitely something to think about. And then listening to our next survivor, this is from Alice.
I hope someone out there can hear this. I'm not quite certain this device even works. You see, I'm an historian. I was touring ancient sites in Peru when it all went dark. Suddenly, I'm in this jigsaw landscape. This hodgepodge of creatures and artifacts, like a collision of cultures and eras. I've seen medieval structures alongside 21st century buildings. I've seen ancient storybook creatures and mechanical monsters straight from a science fiction novel. And the thought I cannot seem to shake now is that the universe has a dumping ground for things that go bump in the night. Others I've encountered assume this is hell, but it's worse. It's the dustbin of history. It's the rubbish dump of time. When the universe is through with you, this is your final stop.
In this radio, we discover Alice, who was an historian, was touring ancient sites in Peru, where suddenly everything went dark and she was in this jigsaw landscape. She witnessed a collision of creatures and artifacts, different cultures and eras. She saw medieval structures alongside 21st century buildings, and ancient storybook creatures and mechanical monsters straight from science fiction novels. You have to remember that the Aether isn't a physical space, it is a fabric that is interwoven into realities. It is used to construct things. So when Alice is describing seeing medieval structures in the Dark Aether alongside 21st century buildings, ancient creatures alongside mechanical monsters, these mixtures of different eras and times reminds you of Revelations. Revelations was set in Argotha, but the space it existed of was the Aether. So in that map, when we saw other maps like Origins, which was in 1918, and then Dreisendrache, which was a medieval castle, alongside the temples of Shangri-La, or the prison of Alcatraz, Alice seems to be witnessing similar things. All of these different objects and creatures coming together in the Dark Aether. Also at the beginning, she says she was just touring ancient sites in Peru when all of a sudden it went dark. It sounds like she became trapped in the Dark Aether at the exact time that everything was banished to the Dark Aether at the end of Tag der Toten. And then our final audio log is from Barbara.
Confession time. This one's gonna sound a little nutsoid, but stay with me. Please, stay with me. So, I've noticed that ever since I landed in this place, well, I've noticed some changes in me physically, and hey, I am not crazy. Do not call me crazy, but mentally, too. It's bad enough when my skin started to wither. I look part alligator. My nails are growing like crazy, and my teeth. What worries me more is how calm I am about it. I mean, at first I panicked, but the more I change, the less I mind. Plus, I am not as afraid of things I run into. Don't judge me. Don't you fucking judge me. I've eaten one or two of them. I gotta eat something. Anyway, I don't know if it's the fog or those glowy crystal things, but this place changes you. Not all at once, but I don't think I could go back now, even if I knew how.
So our final survivor in the Dark Aether, Barbara, she mentions how after being trapped in the Dark Aether for some time, she is beginning to physically change. Her skin has started to wither, she now looks part alligator, and her nails are growing like crazy. And her teeth, well, you can guess what's happening to them. But Alice is physically beginning to look different. And we know the exact same thing happened to the Keepers, where when they first became trapped in the Dark Aether, they looked like this. This is what a normal Keeper looks like. But over time, they began to contort and change, where they then became the Apothicons, and their physical form looked different. They all looked like this in the beginning, but then they began to grow tentacles, some of them grew wings, multiple eyes. They all looked different, but the only difference was this happened over eons. The Keepers were trapped in the Dark Aether for eons of years before they changed into the Apothicons, whereas Barbara, she hasn't been trapped in the Dark Aether for that long, yet she's already beginning to change. But what's more worrying is she says she's actually calm about this and even admits she's eaten one or two of them. By that, I'm thinking she means she's eaten zombies. Maybe she's even eaten Apothicons. We know from another character that's eaten the undead, Samuel. When you do that, you become linked to the Dark Aether. But then again, these people are already trapped by the Dark Aether, so they'd be infected by it anyway. So eating the undead meat, does that really matter? Maybe not. As she says, they have got to eat something. But Barbara, even if she did ever have a chance to go back, she says she wouldn't. Physically, she's changed. And mentally, she has as well. She is infected by the Dark Aether, as everyone who is trapped here will be, but she actually seems to enjoy being here. Yeah, I don't know what to think about that one. So yeah, those are the survivors trapped in the Dark Aether. Those are all of the audio logs you can find as a part of the Dark Aether intel in D Maschine. As always, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. There is so much more intel in the game, so if you want me to do videos on them, let me know by dropping a like rating. Make sure you are subscribed, and as always, I will see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.